to another fabulous episode of the Cannabis Women podcast. I'm your host, Shelbie. This episode is brought to you by RMR Legacy Smalls. I'm very excited for this episode because it is Pride Month. I am born and raised in Palm Springs, California, which is a big gay community. So I'm very lucky to have grown up in an area that celebrated Pride and celebrated change. But it's very hot here in the Coachella Valley, so Palm Springs Pride is in November. So I wanted to invite some of my friends that are organizing some amazing Pride events this month in, the California corners of the LGBTQ community. We got San Francisco, LA, West Hollywood, and like all represent Palm Springs, but going up the hill to Joshua Tree, we have Mama Sailene. Thank you guys for joining me today.
Excited to be here.
Yeah. I wanted to start with a couple facts of California and the LGBTQ community. The rainbow flag came from California. Fun fact. And we lifted the ban on same-sex marriage. Where I'm from, Palm Springs, we have the Dinah, we have the White Party, we have the First Year Resorts, and we have Arenas District. So I'm super excited, very happy to be from here, and very happy to speak to the rest of these women. I will start with Sailene. Can you please talk about your journey in cannabis? How did you start, and what have been some of your favorite moments?
Thank you so much for be able to share my. I have a long history with cannabis. She is my love. I'm a born and raised California girl, and so the culture is deep here. I'm also a product of the 60s, raised in the 70s, 80s. Cannabis was always my preference for. When I was in teens, I was in a near fatal car accident that led me to being in intensive care in the hospital for like 6 weeks. It was an act from that what he was pumping through my same feeling tones and same vibrational things that takes you through what cannabis takes us through. So it was then in the hospital in ICU that I learned that cannabis could be medicine. And so I followed that journey throughout my rehabilitation and really became very personally involved with this beautiful plant medicine that I love and give so much gratitude today to my life. And as you know, when you have a build relationship with this beautiful plant, you need great farmers to back up your beautiful necessary needs. And so from there, I had a very strong community of growers and beautiful farmers from all the way up to Humboldt, all the way down to the Southern California. I started, so cannabis was very important to me. And so I decided that I would start spreading her love. And so I started the first delivery service of cannabis in 1999 in Venice Beach, California, before there was an ease or weed maps or anything like that. I definitely took care of our community and then some. I had about 4 girls running around LA spreading our love. The Angels of Venice is what we were. You had to have our number and or know somebody to get in. No advertising. It was really special until one day a bad deal went wrong, and somebody turned our number into the police, and the DEA went ahead and infiltrated our delivery service and busted us for not running compliant. So I met the best lawyer in Los Angeles, Eric Shevin, and he said, "Hey, you girls are doing God's work. You just have to do it the right way." So I formed a collective, and I learned all about medical marijuana and running a collective under medical marijuana. And I ran until 2016 when California chose, as we all did, we thought it was the best direction to go with legal adult consumption. Today, I would probably take that vote back. I think it's a sad situation, what's happening to our cannabis culture in California. That said, I'm grateful for this plant. I'm grateful for my 2 decades plus of being on the forefront of watching her elevate her experience and spreading her love through not just California, but through our country now. Super proud. Do you want me to go on, or that was beginning, or do you want me to continue? Because I can also tell you that when 2016, when we went into legal adult consumption, I made a pivot. It was then and there that I realized that I was sold a lie and that I couldn't participate in the legal adult consumption area with the new laws. Yes, I was a woman of color who went to jail for the plant and ran under medical marijuana for almost 2 decades, but no, I wasn't going to be able to participate in the new market. So I made a pivot and started a beautiful women's cannabis social group called the Glowing Goddess Getaway. And we did those beautiful retreats where we really helped destigmatize the cannabis culture for women to use cannabis as a spiritual and creative tool. We really built an amazing community of women to connect together, to see their sisterhood, to see themselves in one another, and to raise the consciousness and end the stigma around cannabis and women wanting to use her. And that ran 7 years until the pandemic. And then the pandemic took that down because we weren't able to meet in person and have giant 150 gatherings for 3-day weekends any longer. I moved myself from Los Angeles to Joshua Tree, California. And I was reached out by Simon & Schuster to write a book on CBD and CBD mocktails and cocktails. So now I'm a published author of CBD. Today, I really educate and elevate the full plant medicine, not just Delta-9 THC that I love so much, that I enjoy every day and that I sold a lot of. But today I get to represent the entire plant and all of her benefits and then some, and really truly continue to build that community and the stigma around cannabis and what she brings to us. So today I have a CBD, actually a hemp and functional medicinal mushroom store with a tea elixir tonic bar in Joshua Tree, California called Brewja Elixir. And really, it's my life culmination of work that brought me to Brewja so that I can really always open the conversation to elevate everyone and educate them on the beautiful plant medicine and how we were born with an endocannabinoid system that interacts with this beautiful plant and how everyone can use her to level up their health and wellness. So that's who I am and where I am today.
Thank you so much. And that was an amazing story. You've changed the minds and the lives of a lot of people throughout your years. So it's just amazing to have you as a friend and know you and see you around all the time. And I know you guys that there's a lot of different internet connections going on. We might see
lag. We've been doing this for a minute. I can say I've been in the industry for almost a decade, but you've been in the industry for, well, do some math, it's over 25 years. So just know that I praise you, and I know we haven't truly connected a lot, but I'm blown away by just some new information that I've learned about you.
So with that, Ashlee, go ahead and talk us through your journey.
Oh, I'll try to make it short and sweet. I got into the industry almost a decade ago. It's more of 8 years. I moved to California. I was doing marketing, sales, social media. That's kind of what I was good at. I was 20 years old. I wasn't even 21 yet. And I had moved with the company. They're as long as you hit your 100% sales goal, yeah, you can move to the Glendale location. So I did that. And, a 20-something-year-old moving from Orlando to Los Angeles was pretty cool. I was moving with my partner. She had just she was moving with her job too. It was the perfect thing. But I came out here and I think I saw stars in my eyes. And I was I'm not going to come out here and do sales and marketing for pet shop or a roofer. And no, that's fine. There's, everyone needs marketing and sales. I wasn't connected to it. And because, the world revolves around sales, everything we do, I'm selling myself to you right now as I'm talking on this podcast. I just knew that I wanted to do something that I was passionate about. And yes, I had been smoking weed for a long time. My grandma died of cancer. Like, I'm definitely not going to use that as like, that was the pivotal moment of me. No, it was a part of the reason why I wanted to promote cannabis as medicine, because I think when she was dying in Connecticut, you know, it's like I was rolling a joint from, you know, from the shit weed that I had bought from the dealer down the street versus like, you know, giving her a tincture or like literally any other way of consumption, you know. And then like sometimes it helped, other times it gave her a panic attack. You guys know how it is. Sometimes you like hit the bong too hard, and she's a grandma, so like her dying, having cancer, smoking the joint, you know, it just bothered me. So when I came out here and I saw like how much access we had, and just, you know, how I was crossing an imaginary line per se, and people were getting arrested. That's how I see it, truly. I mean, yes, we have states and stuff, but in my mind, it's an imaginary line. If I'm on the line of Arizona and California, and there's two laws, and you get pulled over a mile down the street, it's just crazy to me. And lives were being ruined by it too, still to this day. So I just knew it was something that I wanted to be involved with. I started at the higher path. I was a joint roller. You know, they kind of gave me leeway to start doing social media with them. But then I got in a relationship with someone working there who was a higher up, and she was like, either you could date me or you could work here. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to date you. So I quit there. And what a story. And I kind of just worked my way through a bunch of different jobs. You know, I had been a part of the MedMen world, and like, you know, I was a part of MedMen when it was like popping off, you know. So like yes, you know, people were part of MedMen when shit was getting really bad, but like I was actually a part of MedMen when they had money and they were spending it all, and they were allowing us to spend it. I loved that. I was riding around the little brand ambassador cars. They were promising me the world, as one does, you know, telling me that I could go, you know, be a be a BA or event manager, which is like what I wanted to do, you know, opening up the Vegas store, or, you know, because I'm from Florida, you know, they started opening us up in Florida. And that was crazy to me, that I was like, now, like, you know, I was putting together like swag and boxes and stuff to ship over to the Florida team. And I'm telling my mom and dad, like, haha, drive down the street, you know, and go see, you know, MedMen, because now what I was doing was being legitimatized in their eyes. You know, I didn't just move out to California with a great salary job and leave it to be a joint roller. I was like working my way up in these companies, and from what people thought in 2018, I think was the time MedMen was popping, 2019. It was legit. But with that, every job I had, I got burned, and, you know, world. And I think after my last job, I was like, I'm either going to change my industry, or I am going to just dive in and do something myself, because I felt like the princess who was like helping build the castle and then pushed out, and I couldn't do it anymore. So, you know, my previous business partner, Alex, had reached out to me and said, you know, he was working at High Season, like in distro. I was the head of marketing. We both had stopped working there, and he called me one day. And I was like, I have this idea, and like, I think you're the best person to like do it with. And I was like, okay, what is it? And he was like, you know, the idea is to create the first ever community built cannabis brand through this whole like DAO crypto scene. And I'm not going to get into that, but just DAO is like another word for like a different type of company. It stands for decentralized autonomous organization. And it's basically just giving the people the opportunity to choose, like, what name should we do? What weed should we put in the jar? What color palette should the logo be? Like, literally giving the community the ability to build this brand. And in return, they would feel this connection with it because they built this brand from the ground up with us. So, you know, we started throwing events to curate, you know, the community, and the events were doing really great. I mean, we were doing something different. And I think, like, when I talk about this, I never want to talk about other people's events like they're bad or they're wrong or they're not doing it the right way. My events, I just think, were like putting cannabis in a different light. We were having like cannabis cocktails, you know, and just kind of like you were saying, is that, you know, cannabis cocktails, mocktails, those I think consuming that and being able to like have my grandma, if she, you know, could have drank something like that, a tincture or whatever, I think putting that into places like Florida, who isn't super acceptable or accepting right now of cannabis, even that it's medical and hopefully going to be recreational at the end of the year, you know, in their brain. So our events were doing really good, but the crypto scene and kind of the idea to start a cannabis brand started feeling really scary just because of how the industry has been. So we were like, okay, well, we need to pivot. What is working and what isn't? And, you know, it felt like crypto and like at least owning a cannabis brand, unless we had millions of dollars, you know, made sense to continue doing. So we're like, well, let's continue curating these events and throwing these experiences where like, not only do we have like a melting pot group of people, it's not just the cannabis industry people. It's not just like the super stoners, which we love. I'm a stoner. I sit in bed and I hit my bong. But I think if I want my mom and my dad, who quite frankly doesn't really love or accept cannabis, if we want him to be okay with it, having like a cannabis cocktail bar, like at a party versus like people walking around with bongs is like the way I think we're going to get there. So we kind of started refining our events and, you know, thought about the lounge space and, you know, but that kind of got scary too. So then last year we outgrew the mansion. Obviously that was like 200, you know, it was like 200, 300 people. And we started throwing events at a really incredible space in Hollywood. And, you know, the events just grew. We had an incredible article written by Lindsay from Forbes about our cannabis farmers market and how, like, again, I don't even like saying cannabis farmers market because it's not a farmers market. It's farm to table. It's a farmers market where it just so happens cannabis brands are popping up. And I wanted to give these brands an opportunity who don't have the opportunity to pop up at the Hollywood farmers market on Sundays because they are cannabis, to like be next to someone shucking oysters or be next to someone selling candles or jewelry. And that's what I did. So, you know, Puffed Out, you know, is now kind of just at the forefront of throwing farmers market events that are a little more, I would say, like high-end, different. You know, maybe your mom across the street will see it and walk in because it looks like a, you know, it's like an event that brings her in. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of like my full beginning to end story. Now Puffed Out is, you know, 2.5 years old. We've thrown like 30, 40 events, have hosted, you know, events at lounges, and kind of that's where like I love throwing the big events, but I think especially next year I'm really, you know, planning on working more with, you know, Pleasure Med, the Woods, Artistry, all those lounges who I think like definitely need that support as well. Because throwing, you know, 600, 700 person events every 2, maybe 3 months max is a lot. And it's really just me and a very small choice, you know, group of part-time people who help. So yeah.
And I've been to them. Story. Thank you, Ashlee. Yes, I've been to your events. They are amazing. I always look forward to the next one. If I'm open, I'm there. And yeah, oysters has been my favorite part. Shout out the oysters at Puffed Out. Cool. Okay, Nina, the floor is yours.
I'm bringing it back in September. Yeah.
Okay, gonna unmute.
Oh, she's muted.
Okay, go for
it. Hi guys. Yeah, I think for me, where is my start? Hear me? Sorry. So I guess for me, you know, I guess I've always had, you know, boyfriends in high school and also in college that, you know, sold weed from little plastic Ziploc bags. And I kind of, I just feel like I can do it better. But no, in all seriousness, Fig and Thistle was founded by friendship. And we actually started off as a wine bar in San Francisco, Hayes Valley. In 2020, we converted the wine bar into the dispensary and moved the dispensary over next door. And we were, as you probably still remember, it wasn't that long ago that, everything was shut down, but being being open during the pandemic, during the hard times, was really when I saw people face to face and connected with the community, and saw and talked about, what everyone was going through and how everyone was coping. And I really saw, like, firsthand, like, the power of the medicine, and being open in the community and being for the people. And you know I have to say, like, we've grown so much. And you know I quickly learned that, staying alive is the name of the game when you're in cannabis. And we have to be, adaptive and, chameleon like. And you know people used to always say when I first started, like, oh, it's all about, like, the community and people, and I tell you, that's just, the underlying, score. And yeah, so I think right now our biggest project yet, we've been open since 2020. Pride SF invited us to be the official outdoor cannabis event coordinator for Pride SF. So I think that that's our biggest feat so far. We're a really small store, so this is such a big opportunity for us. Yeah, and we are getting to know the brands. I think right now we have 14 exhibitors, and I'm so excited about each one of them. And we're working with Cannabis Club and Flora Dispensary in the Castro, and yeah, like, we're just kind of, that's going to kick off in, I wish it was November, but it's actually in 2 weeks. But yeah, so, and then our other project that we're working on is that we're actually moving our dispensary. We're playing another game of musical chairs, and we're moving our dispensary over to the bigger location, and it's going to have a consumption lounge, a small one. And we're going to put the wine bar back in its original location. And I think by, I want to say next year, beginning of next year, we would have opened our second location in the Sunset District. Yeah, so lots of things to look forward to. And yeah.
Thank you so much. We're so excited about all those events. Hell yeah. Okay, I'm going to go back to Sailene. Can you tell me who your favorite LGBTQ icons are in cannabis and
People don't even know or recognize is Dennis. If it wasn't for Perone, we wouldn't have medical marijuana.
I'm literally making a bag for Puff Puff Pride with his face on it right now.
Oh, cool.
I mean, gotta start
Because
there,
of how
you know.
important he is. You have to. Know your history.
Know your history. I was really fortunate to be able to go with the Social Impact Center back in like 2015 to the temple, to his castle, to the castle. And I got to meet Dennis.
I went there last year.
But I got to meet him. Like,
no,
I have pictures. I got his weed garden on top of his structure there, and what an honor! And it was my first Pride in San Francisco. Pretty, yeah. I'm a SoCal girl, so I've always gone to WeHo Prides, but like that San Francisco, the whole city, it is so amazing. But to be there in Dennis's castle, to see the Pride flags flowing, it was just like a memory I will never forget. So to me, it goes back to Dennis. He's my greatest, really.
Wow.
Thank you. Go for it, Ashlee. How about you?
sorry, I didn't mean to cut in. I guess I just didn't know if this was also like where we could all talk at the same time. But I think that's a perfect, you know who I'm gonna say. I don't even have to say it. You know it's gonna be Miley.
Miley.
But like again, you know that because I like trying to work with her, but like still haven't like smoked with her or anything. I don't even like saying that because it feels like, it feels like that is actually attainable. But I think like Joan Jett, I think would be a vibe. Like that's my
okay, cool.
Not a cannabis specific person, but just But I love that you said Dennis Perone. Like I literally, for every event, that we do custom tote bags. And last year we did Brownie Mary. It was a dope bag. I'm just gonna like show you what it looks like right now.
Yeah.
We put a quote from her that said like, if I have to like sell pot brownies for my kids fucking dying with AIDS, like I will, and that's like you know that quote, obviously.
Amazing.
But let's see. This is what it was.
Sweet.
So we had that, and it has like the little puffed out badge on her shirt. So I just reached out to my graphic designer because we're working on this year's tote bag, and I was talking to Felicia because we're having the Social Impact Center activated, Puff Puff Pride, and I went to amazing, and I went to the Castro Castle last year. So I like was messaging her and I was like, we should be putting Dennis Perone on the bag, right? And she's like, absolutely. So I'm working on that right now. So if there's any quotes that come to mind, because that was my next thing of like quotes that a quote that I want to put, let me know, because always down, So yeah, that's my
Thank you. How about you, Nina? Do you have
it's hard to choose a favorite. I think, there's everyone's, putting in their 100%. And so I can't think of one person. I think every effort made is an effort towards that goal.
Hell yeah. Well, now I need to go visit the Castro Castle.
You have to.
Okay, ladies. Sailene, why is it important to you to support the LGBTQ community? And why do you think it's important for the cannabis community to actively support LGBTQ causes?
Sorry, I'm a little choked up. LGBT community is everything. I grew up in a very, very inclusive family. I consider myself queer. It's very important to always raise consciousness and awareness to the community. The cannabis community owes everything to the LGBT community. If it wasn't for the dying AIDS men across the country, it wouldn't have impacted us in the way that it did. It was very necessary. In the span of 2 years, so it means a lot to family members and all. That said, it wasn't for people like Dennis Perone and Brownie Mary showing up for those in the LGBT community, we wouldn't be where we are today. I think it's very, very important they go hand in hand.
Thank you so much for sharing your heart. Thank you. Does anyone have anything to add?
That you choked me up, actually. Yeah, I think for me, growing up in a very strict household, all out of love, but mostly out of just trying to assimilate and work hard in this country. I was the first one born in America. And, I think that this sort of, for me, I'm working towards just like the education and the destigmatization, cannabis being destigmatized. I just feel like just getting to know each, person at the shop, like one by one, and just being able to reach out and like put a hand on a shoulder and be like, hey, it's okay. Like, let's just, try something new or not, but we're here for you and we can tell you all about it. And I think that goes a long way. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll just, add to what, it's important, obviously, again, like she said, cannabis community and wouldn't be anything without the LGBTQ community. Yes, growing weed and selling on the black market and like pushing like that, cannabis is medicine and is like an okay thing to do when you want to relax was important, but like I don't think it did anything until people were literally dying on the streets and every person they knew left and right. Like I was just watching, American Horror Story did a episode or an entire series about like the 1980s and 90s and HIV, AIDS, like the whole thing. And like to kind of see it portrayed in that, like knowing, again, because when you're gay and it's a small circle, it's like, yeah, I see all my girlfriends and my ex-girlfriends and my friends, like we're all hanging out. Like everyone was dying. They were all like kind of hooking up into each other. And I know that sounds weird, but like to think about like a group of people who is like so close and also was getting so much shit and, back then and wasn't accepted at all really. And then they were dying and like it almost felt like this, I don't know, that like cannabis, cannabis was legal because of that happening. So just like, when you go to the Castle and you meet patient one and like, yeah, him and all of his friends have AIDS. It's like most of them do. Like they're, half of their friends are dead and have been dead for a long time. And that like he's telling me about like the reason why he got his thing is because like his friends were dying and like they couldn't eat. I just think there's a lot that needs to, there's a lot of education that needs to constantly be taught on that, because I also think too that the cannabis industry also has this other culture that fucking hates gay people, quite frankly. And it's very easy for me to see the brands, no offense, that like I reach out to them to sponsor an event, and all the brands that I assume won't sponsor the event are the brands who don't sponsor the event. And I hate that I have that stereotype that like they're not super, supportive or whatever, but like I think there is like also the divide of like culture in the cannabis industry, unfortunately. And it's some of it is actually toxic. Like I remember being in, at a job and them thinking I was gonna fucking sue them because I'm gay or some shit, and just like the toxic mentality of some of these dudes in the cannabis industry who are homophobic, are transphobic, and they're a threat to like my community, who is a lot of people and of them gay just because I'm queer. And so it's important. It really is, the education ministry.
100.
Totally.
100.
Even in like just like the nation, there's still a lot of states that aren't accepting. We have people coming from Florida, coming from the other end, and then coming here.
My girlfriend's from Austin, but where she's from, 2 hours, 3 hours north, wherever town she's from, I forgot the name of it, but doesn't accept her. Like it's a thing, and people are like, oh, it's not. It's why is it always about being gay? And it's like, you don't understand that, like, just because you're super accepting and like you think everyone around you, like in Hollywood or South Florida, Fort Lauderdale is just like moving to Los Angeles. That's why we all like migrate over here. But like, it's not like that in like the Panhandle, like it's not. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies. Nina, do you have anything to add? They said it best, for sure. Okay, well, does anyone have a favorite Pride memory? Whoever would like to start.
I think I already shared mine, which was I've walked in Pride in WeHo. With the Social Impact Center, before it was Social Impact Center, we used to do all kinds of camp, raise awareness. And so, Felicia, she's loud and proud. So we were at the Fresno Pride. That's where she's from. It was the teeniest little cutest thing at a booth with Olivia Push Queen. And Leah, she works for me now, but now she used to have her own delivery service. But we went to Pride in Fresno, and then we went to San Francisco, and we were at WeHo, and we walked in the WeHo one with the Social Impact Center prior to the Impact Center. It was amazing. But really, my very favorite was going to San Francisco because I had just come from the, Castro Castle, meeting Dennis, seeing all the flags flying, and then going to the parade down there was like the entirety of San Francisco out. I mean, it just feels like everyone is
Glamorous Park is packed.
It's packed. It's so fun. It was the best Pride I've ever.
Nina, have you guys walked in the parade yet?
Sorry?
I was asking Nina, because you're up in San Francisco, right? Have you been in the parade yet or tried to do any of that?
No, I haven't yet. I think I'm about to make my most memorable memory in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the whole city is just, flooded with just so much love and energy. And, we just need that and love that so much in San Francisco. And, we all feed off of that. And so I can't wait. Our shop is really close to the celebrations every year. So I feel like I'm like, yeah, like,
you're in it. Yeah. Yeah. You're the little pit stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Oh my gosh. I'm like, what do I ask next? I want to keep a good time. What are your favorite cannabis products everyone should know about, or any cannabis brands that you'd like to shout out that are celebrating Pride? I will start with Ashlee.
Well, I know we've been talking about the Social Impact Center. So shout out to the Social Impact Center, queer owned. Wouldn't be anything without Stone Road Farms. I also, which is pretty funny, I used to work for this female delivery service when I just moved to Los Angeles. It was secret and it was for celebrities, and they called themselves the Green Angels. But
oh my God, I wonder where they got that from.
That's why when you said that, I was like, ooh.
I had the whole building. It was crazy. Yeah.
Listen, you're a pioneer. Flattered. You just have to be flattered, because that's how I feel when people copy my shit all the time. But Stone Road Farms, queer owned, Lex Corin, I think that's how I say his last name, and Sabrina, he's been doing it for a while. He was like, I knew him when he was pushing Black Market, and then he made his brand. Can is queer owned. Luke is the own, Luke Anderson, I think that's his last name. And then who else? Wild. But those are just a couple shout outs, queer owned brands that rock. It sucks. A lot of them are also too were like queer owned and then like bought, so there aren't a lot of queer owned brands that are just, oh my God, Robert Holland, Tempo Crackers. I cannot forget my God. And coming out with some vape soon, so some baby vape.
Thank you. Nina, how about you? As a buyer, you're curating products for the shop. What are some of your favorite products or some of your brands that you'd like to shout out that everyone should know about?
I mean, so many. I'm worried that if I start shouting out names, that exhibitors are like, "What about me?" So I'm just trying to play neutral. But I think that throughout this process, one thing that was really nice was that when I said, "Hey, we're doing this event, would you join us?" and everybody was totally down. I think the hardest part was just like the funds for them. I think it's a really tough time, and so there were a lot of brands that are a part of the community in that sense, but like, you know, that couldn't participate for, you know, a lot of reasons. But yeah, Manzanita Naturals is one of the brands that will be there. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to start naming.
No problem. No problem. Thank you so much for all the work that you're doing. How about you, Sailene?
I mean, honestly, because I've made the pivot and I'm more into hemp and minor cannabinoids. Shout out to the Social Impact Center. They're not a brand, but they're just an amazing foundation that's doing really impactful work out there. So to me, it's all about Felicia, whatever.
She's holding people accountable.
What?
She's holding people accountable in the industry, I feel like. That's what she does.
Up, down. But, my girl, Olivia over at, Kush Queen.
Love her.
Love pro LGBT community, their campaigns and what across the board, and they're support the community. So
yeah, Olivia's always great. You remember she did the first ever Puff Puff Pride and did that like bouquet activation where everyone could make their own pride flower bouquets, and it was like one of the coolest activations I think to this day we've ever had. So shout out to Kush Queen.
Yeah. Kush Queen's in my store too, even her hemp products. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure they're all in your store.
Yay. Oh my gosh, you guys, my internet like just caught up with everyone. So like now it's perfect for me. I know like for this whole past 40 minutes, everything's been like it's been like lagging, and I know that I've been lagging. So anyways. Sailene, how is the high desert creating a welcoming space for the LGBTQ community? Joshua Tree is popping right now, everybody. Just saying.
It's popping. Well, it was going off before, like building, but then the pandemic brought in a whole surgence of, urbanite. So we have all kinds of new people here. A lot of people from. That said, many creatives and artistic artists. So that said, there's very, very big group for holding space for the LGBT community up here. Since I've been here 6 years, but then I lived, a couple of them through the pandemic. We've had Pride Festival here for 2 years in a row. This will be my second time involved. I'm doing the JT High Desert Pride Festival Marketplace on June 22nd in my parking lot. Last year was so much fun. Bunch of vendors, DJ. We have a raffle with our High Desert drag queen, the Lady Shelane, and she'll be doing raffles and prizes, and I'll be mixing up all kinds of tea elixir. Have the mermaid parade that flows through the city, and then literally it's such a community that they have to do it 2 weekends in a row. So,
really?
So my first weekend is the 22nd. The Beatnik Lounge will have out there too, and then the following weekend there's things like that at the station, the Joshua Tree Station, and the community center or something. The Lady Shelane has a whole night of drag shows and all kinds of entertainment too. So I mean, it's literally 2 weekends in a row. That's how much pride we have up here.
It's lit. Yeah, the station has this big giant muffler man, Big Josh, and he's holding like a big pride flag. So that's awesome to see. And then I'm just going to shout out, outside of Joshua Tree, we have 29 Palms. There's the Out There Bar. They do a lot of fun events over there. And then in Yucca Valley, they got Tiny Pony and Red Dog. I don't know if Red Dog does anything, but I know Tiny Ponies for sure has some drag.
That's Pioneer Town, right? Or no?
What was that? Pioneer Town Red Dog, yeah.
Yeah, I just went there for my first time ever. It was really cool.
Red Dog's fun.
Yeah.
Love it. But yes, like, the high desert, when I was growing up, I don't know, people thought it was a very kind of closed off, very conservative, not a very accepting place. So it's really beautiful now to see new businesses come in and making some changes. And like they have to put like a decal on the window that says like, this is a hate-free zone, you know, so yeah. How about Ashlee in West Hollywood? How is it popping for the LGBTQ community in LA?
I would say it's in the queer world, it's split up into two different peeps. You got the Silver Lake gays that are more East Side artists, you know, probably, I mean, everyone's in entertainment in Los Angeles, but, you know, I think just Silver Lake and like the East Side is where like I throw my events, usually my girls, gays, and nays events. West Hollywood's popping because, you know, it's nice to have like a gay downtown, I would call it, you know, because you have like a street of bars. And I feel like, I don't know, like walking around, like I live in Hollywood, walking around Hollywood, it's like there aren't like a strip of like cool bars. They're all just like weird random tourist traps, and then like a good bar here, and then have, you know, you'll have like Davy Wayne's or whatever. So I do like that WeHo has like these strip of bars, you know, because I don't feel like there's like a lot of strip, unless I'm tripping out. What other areas that have like good strips of bars in Los Angeles? You know, like there isn't. So it's like we're going down to West Hollywood, but it is a shit show down there, and I end up getting, if I'm drinking, extremely intoxicated. So I you know, going there for Pride last weekend, like I only went one day because I couldn't do a second day. I'm not even 30 yet. I turned 30 in a couple of months, but I'm really feeling like I can't do 2 days of Pride. You know, I threw my girls' days Pride kickoff party in Hollywood that Friday night, woke up Saturday, went to West Hollywood, was there all day. You know, I left before Kylie Minogue, or however you say her last name, performed because I just couldn't being up, you know, from 10 a.m. to 11, drinking all day. It's like, what do they think? I'm the Terminator? Like, I just... So, you know, it's a great vibe out in West Hollywood. It's just not for everyone. I would call it like the baby gays. Like when you move out here the first couple of years, you're like, oh my God, we're at the Abbey. I saw this on the L Word. Like, this is real life. And that is how I felt. And when I was doing comedy and performing at the Comedy Store, like, you know, I was really in it. But I think the older I got, and then when I started throwing events, that's what you don't realize when you're actually throwing events. You don't want to go out because you're exhausted, because everyone not like sucks your energy in a bad way, but like I just stare at a wall for at least 48 hours and not speak because I don't have any energy. So yeah, that's the West Hollywood rundown.
Thank you. Aren't you also doing, or did you do an event at the Cannabis Cafe?
Yeah, so I throw a monthly event called Verse at the OG Cannabis Cafe. You know, we got a bar and a cannabis lounge connected. Pleasure Med also has that, but the bar is downstairs. There's no like synchronicity of an event because you'd have to like walk outside and go upstairs. So I've, you know, been trying to find a way to start like figuring out how is cannabis, hospitality, and alcohol going to be together in a harmonious way. That's bitchin'. And, you know, having like this wine and weed event, that's not all of my events are queer. Puffed Out isn't queer, but some of them are. So this is just like a weekly night where like you can come in, you can have a glass of wine and dance, and then you can like cross the imaginary line, not with your wine, of course. It has to stay on the outside, and go in and smoke. I'm really hoping laws and stuff change because there's like a disconnect, you know, it's like, we're looking at numbers and how many people came. It's like, oh, well, there was like 15 people inside in the corner smoking and eating an ice cream sundae. It's like, but I hate that because I wish they could smoke and eat an ice cream sundae in the corner while someone is having a glass of wine talking to the DJ. Like that should be, it needs to happen. I just don't know how it's going to happen. We were supposed to have it the week coming up, but honestly, Puff Pride is the 22nd, the same day as your event, which I'm sad you're not going to be there. But I really got to focus on that. So we're pushing it to July 18th, I believe.
And then can you talk about the other one, Lesbos?
Lesbos? Yeah. Well, do you mean to talk about Lesbos or Girls, Gays, and A's?
Both, please.
Girls, Gays, and A's is just like a monthly event that I throw where I'm like highlighting up and coming artists. I wanted to throw queer events that were like, you know, not just like a bunch of gay people and a DJ. We love having that, and we have a bunch of those, but I didn't want to like add to the noise. And I think because everyone's super proud nowadays, there's a lot of events going on, and like we need to do something different. I'm not just going to throw an event to make money. I want to bring something new to the community. So it's usually like rock bands and stuff, and it's been really cool because like Rainbow will come through and like, you know, no, you can't smoke at the bar, but like they'll give me a bunch of like bags for like the artists, you know, and that's a way where I've been kind of like bringing in my cannabis clients into my quote real life events that I can throw at bars. You know, it's like such a weird thing, which is why I throw events at like, you know, the event venue, because it's not a bar and I can mix them both together. But yeah, that's once a month. We have 1 to 2 bands and then a DJ after. We're working with Soho House, and I recently just made a deal with them to possibly start monthly programming. We're going to do the first one in July, but it's basically Girls, Gays, and Nays Unplugged, where I'll bring back an artist who has already performed at Girls, Gays, and Nays, and they'll do an acoustic set at one of the Soho House locations. This one is going to be the one in West Hollywood, Holloway House. So that one's July 12th. And Lesbos, that's another event that I throw. It's quarterly. It's very intimate, sapphic. I had a bad experience at I'm not going to call it a sex party, but it was like an intimate female party where like the woman who owned it was like, "You're too androgynous," and was like yelling at her friend for like inviting me, because you have to be like accepted to these places. And I think it was an event for more like bisexual women who like are like scared to like explore themselves. And I was like, this is supposed to be an inclusive space. Like how are you going to create a space and then tell the lesbian here that like she's too androgynous or she's too dykey? Like, look at me, I'm not too dykey. Like, what? So it just rubbed me the wrong way. And because my last name is Belzo, and I literally was bullied all through high school, and people would call me Belzo the Lesbo. Like, it was so bad that like I got shingles as like I know, it's fucking hilarious. I got shingles as like a 16 or 17-year-old. And like, if you know about shingles, old people get shingles when they're extremely stressed and they have like a low body immune system. Like, I was so depressed and stressed about like being bullied in high school that like I got shingles and people were like carving it into a desk. Like, it was fucked up. So after that experience, I was like, I'm throwing events. I know what works and what doesn't work. I want to throw something that's more intimate. So I kind of like took it back and I named it Lesbos. So it's like, yeah, Belzo the Lesbo is fucking throwing this event. And it's basically a sapphic inspired event that is like giving Grecian, like, you know, Sappho, the poet, you know, who was like supposedly the first female woman poet, who lived on the Isle of Lesbos, Lesbos. I bring everything back. It's all connected. So it's like 75 women, you know, Kush Queen had donated, you know, bath bombs to the gift bags. And like, it's basically topless optional. We have like a whole charcuterie board. We have wine. We have, you know, we're doing like a freaking, why can't I speak? A sound bath, you know, like kind of that vibe. We're doing tarot. It's very like, it's giving like witchy, but like good witch vibes, you know? So yeah, I'm all about creating new experiences and things that like I haven't seen and that I've like dreamed in my head and have been trying to figure out like how I can make it reality.
Hell yeah, Ashlee. Fuck those people who
Fuck
used
those
to bully
people.
Oh, you have to be grateful for them, because look who you are today because of it.
I know. Yeah, I say that all the time. It's like I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't go through all of that stuff with those shitty people. If I didn't, you know, get run through by all those CEOs and, you know, was bullied constantly. It's like everything happens for a reason, and it just inspired me to fight the patriarchy, to fight back.
I really want to go to the Lesbos event. It just looks so beautiful. Like, it's everything women love. Like the candle.
You're coming. It's gonna be an honor. Everyone can come. Nina, you're coming.
I'm going.
We're going. We had a harpist last time. There's a woman doing a harpist. Girls are feeding each other grapes. Like, it's a
Yeah.
So cool.
When's the next?
What?
When's the next?
I think it's gonna be August 24th.
Okay,
I'll send you guys the info.
that's what we want to.
And if anyone's watching who identifies as a woman, and you don't have to be gay to come, you should come.
I'll be there. No, the wine and weed topic is something that we've always had so much like red tape around. Fig and Thistle started as a wine bar in 2012. 2000 and I'm like, when was my first son born? 2016. And when we opened the dispensary in 2020, we just thought like, oh my God, this is going to be great. We're going to be able to do both, but actually, no, we cannot do both. And so just trying to go through the red tape around that it's really hard.
It's hard.
Yeah. But I'm hoping that with the consumption lounge opening up into the bigger location, and once we put the wine bar back in, we also got a full liquor license for that space. The wall. So I think it's going to be really fun. But yeah, we're definitely going to have to get creative on how we can incorporate both. I feel like there's it's like a Venn diagram. There's people that only drink, and then there's people that don't, like, hate drinking.
Literally.
And then there's like a really small piece of that Venn diagram, and like those are the people. That's what I want to expand
and like, can there be an actual location, or does the government want to keep fucking us and making it hard for us to literally just be across an imaginary line to be together? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, no, it's the second one.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Nina, are there any other hidden gems of San Francisco or anything else that you'd like to shout out about the area?
I definitely think that if you can check out Malay Sake and Wine Bar, one of our business partners, Angel Davis, she's been running it also through the pandemic, and just check it out. Safe place.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any other hidden gems, events, organizations, things that you think people should know about? Definitely the Social Impact Center. We know that one.
I'm sending Felicia this video immediately.
I'm definitely going to have her on and come back.
You have to. I'm trying to think. Are we thinking like foodie places?
Yeah, literally anything.
Found Oyster in Silver Lake.
Hell yeah.
I go shout out to our queer-owned one-star restaurant in the high desert in Landers called La Copine.
Ooh.
That is a nice hidden gem.
Oh, I also wanted to shout out Sonoma Hills Farms because I forgot to talk about them. You guys know they're up north. Great, cannabis. They have the Pink Jesus. They've been working with our favorites, Christina and Wendy doing that Pink Jesus ice cream. I just couldn't go to it because I was out of town. But, to just continue picking back on what you were saying, Nina, is like finding a way to like, really incorporate like Sonoma being like the wine capital of the world, and supposedly, California being weed, and, all of those, farms up there having farm to table food. It's like, there needs to be a connection, and I really hope, it doesn't take too long and we can see a world or, a place or a venue where all of those things can coexist. And, it doesn't always have to be about getting stoned. It could be about, again, if I want wine or if I want to drink a cannabis cocktail, like that should both be okay. Yeah. And it shouldn't have to be 0.03% THC hemp. And I can, I'm sorry.
Well, we're wrapping up on time. I'd love if you guys can each go around and tell us how we can follow you and stay updated with the events, and then remind us when the event is, when and where. Sailene, I'll start with you.
You can find me at Brewja Elixir, Brewja, put a little spin on the Brewja. Elixir, Elixir, at Instagram, Facebook, wherever. And all the events. Our Pride Market Festival will be on June 22nd from 1 to 5. Please, if you're listening to this, come on up to JT. It's going to be a fun weekend. I'm going to throw the Pride Marketplace Festival, but like right next door, they'll be doing other things at the Art Fest, at the Beatnik Cafe, the Beatnik Lounge and the Art Studio. There'll be various things all across Joshua Tree.
Thank you. Ashlee?
You can follow me at Ashlee Belzo, ASHLEEBELZO, or you can follow Puffdao, PUFFDAO. All of my other companies and Instagrams are in my bio. Puffdao has a website. It's not as poppin'. We're definitely a very social media heavy, community events driven, but that's PUFFDAO.io. We're having an event the same day. If you're in LA, come to our event, Puff Puff Pride. It's June 22nd from 1 to 6 p.m. We have a great lineup of brands. Social Impact Center will be there. Food trucks, Numu Burger is doing vegan burgers, and we're gonna have tacos. It's gonna be great. But yeah.
Thank you. Nina?
FT Apothecary to follow Fig and Thistle. Our Pride event is happening June 29th and 30th, and there's more information on that on sfpride.org's website as well. And I think in about a month or two, our new location will open next door in Hayes Valley. Yeah,
Congrats.
for that.
Thank you, ladies, so much. This has been so fun. You guys are all amazing. I'm glad you guys got to meet each other, and I'm excited to see what comes out of this and what comes out of the connections. I would love if our audience reads on the LGBTQ history this month and continues to love one another and accept more people into your hearts and friends, and go to all these events. Subscribe to Respect My Region, like, comment, share this video, tell us what your favorite part was, tell us what you've learned, and have a beautiful day and happy Pride Month.
Happy Pride. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Pride.
Thanks, Shelbie. I love you.
Love you. Thank you.